From being told that he would never train a day in his life again, to understanding the importance of these small things. In today's episode, we have Ian Molphy, the co-owner of the KHP Gym down in Dublin. Tom and I have actually had the pleasure of being down in his gym. Tom runs his workshops down there. I had the pleasure of going down there a couple of months ago. Phenomenal place. We're really excited to have him on the podcast. Without further ado, let's get into the episode.
Let's go.
What's up?
Thank you so much for joining us, Ian Malfey of KHP Gym in Dublin. We are absolutely stoked to have you with us today. Just for the guys that haven't heard of you before, what problem do you solve and for who?
Okay, tough question. I'm going to go a little bit different here. So I haven't got like a typical elevator pitch. I help these guys solve this problem. I think because we're an actual like live gym, like it's not like online coaching or anything like that. We're simply trying to just create an environment where people can come, enjoy training, make objective progress, and learn a little bit along the way. So we're kind of big on educating our members and trying to teach them how to think about training, so that like if the gym disappears or they move place, they can keep it up. And then alongside that, just trying to create a place where they can connect with similar people, different people, just like a nice training environment, where people can come and progress and have a good time. So I don't know. We're probably solving different problems for different people. Like we have some people coming in consults, and as we delve into it, like it's obvious a big part of what they're looking for is the connection bit. They could be new to Dublin. They could be new to the country. They probably enjoy training or enjoy being active, but the big thing for them is like, I don't want to just go to the gym on my own. I want to have some training partners and have a bit of a laugh while I'm at it. So for some people, that's the problem we're solving. For other people, it is a training thing. So for some people, like the community is there, but it's not necessarily like clicky or like you have to come and talk to everybody or you have to come on the hikes or anything. There's plenty of people that are just super busy. Maybe they run their own business as well. Like we've got plenty of kind of like doctors and consultants and stuff like that who can just cram in like 2 1-hour sessions a week, and they just want to know that the time they're putting in is actually moving them in the right direction. So for them, that's the problem we're solving. So yeah, there's a few different angles depending on the person that's coming through.
Yeah, love that. I think that's wicked. And in terms of like that's the exact reason that we wanted to have you on, because I think you're excellent in terms of like the training delivery side of things across different modalities. But the points you kind of touched on there is like kind of making this a holistic thing that like people are learning and sort of being exposed to sort of different ways of training. It's not just like this one size fits all, or like it's just to get to X goal. It's like an overarching kind of philosophy, but also like you said, that kind of the connection piece and sort of the community and that sort of thing as well, I think is so important. And obviously like gyms like CrossFit gyms and that sort of thing, I think they do that really well. But I think sometimes in terms of sort of like, because it's more sort of like small group training that you do, I think like that's sometimes like slightly harder to kind of generate within that environment. But I think sort of the way that you kind of put across the philosophy and what you're about, for me personally, that comes across really strongly. And that's the thing that kind of attracts people to your space. In terms of sort of how you go about sort of like the coaching itself, what experiences for you personally have kind of changed how you think about sort of training and coaching generally?
I've definitely went through a few different cycles of mindsets and coaching and stuff. I think that's just natural as you mature in the industry and age, but I'm definitely way more into just patience and take your time now.
Yeah.
But it's like go slow to go fast, isn't it? Like when I started training, I kind of started strength training quite like late, not late, but like late in comparison to probably most people in the industry. I think most people start off quite young. So like I started off in like martial arts and stuff, and I was quite weak and wasn't really doing any strength. And then when I kind of ultimately finished that, I got into strength training in the kind of mid-20s. Like I went to the gym previously, but it was like with a couple of mates doing some biceps and stuff. Like when I wasn't in the mood to go in the head, it was like, oh, I don't want to go sparring tonight. I'll just go with the lads and do some biceps. So it wasn't really training.
Yeah.
But I started like structured strength training kind of mid-20s. And it was like go hard or go home kind of attitude. It's just like I want to get as strong as possible, as fast as possible. And it was just purely top down. Like I have to hit these numbers on this day, or else I'm a shit human being. And that was the attitude for a while. I didn't like necessarily instill that on clients, right? And I think I was kind of like working as an employee. I was in like another kind of small group gym. So you're very much kind of fulfilling their training method and their training system and stuff. And that was good. Learned a lot there, and then kind of went out on my own and Fly Fit, which is like a what would be the equivalent in the UK, like Pure Gym, maybe like a commercial type thing. And then eventually kind of opened up KHP. But I think now I'm a lot more like you almost can't start off slow enough. I think for a lot of people, um, I think probably what changed that for me. I think what Tom's getting at, like, so I used to train with Tom as a client online, and it was like maybe when was that? At 22, 23.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Uh,
something like that.
I was kind of just getting back into training, so I had quite a bad brain injury in 2020. Where I couldn't really train for like a year or so. I was kind of just like doing some light cardio. Was very much advised to not lift heavy or lift at all. And then the kind of chip on my shoulder was like, nah, I'm gonna be able to lift again. Um, so I think that journey back to training probably has changed how I coach and program and stuff now. So like that was very much like genuinely this simple. Like at the start of it, like I couldn't stand up for too long without getting headaches and stuff. So it was kind of like tracking how long I could stand without a headache. And then I was like, how far can I walk without a headache? And then it was like, oh, if I can walk this far, maybe I can throw a weighted vest on. And then it was like very much like that. Um, so I think that's kind of how I approach programming now, especially for people who, like, you probably see it all the time. Like people come in and they might be extremely enthusiastic, but like all the evidence from talking to them shows that they kind of stop start.
Yeah.
And it's usually because they think they have to do like 5 days training a week, or like they're just starting out too much, or but like the expectations are so high, or they want to progress fast. And generally with those kinds of people, what I learned from say coming back myself was like find the minimum amount of work you can do. Like prove to yourself that you can do 1 day a week, and kind of then we'll talk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you get people coming in. It's like, oh, I want to do 5 days a week. They haven't trained in 10 years.
Yeah.
You can kind of obviously depends on their personality, but you can kind of challenge their ego a little bit. And it's like, well, prove to me and prove to yourself that you can do 1 day, and
Yeah.
then in 3 weeks' time we'll talk. And then if they prove it, then it's like, cool, let's do 2 days. So yeah, I think
Oh,
patience is probably the big thing.
yeah. And I completely agree. And I think like when you've been in the industry for a while, sort of you have that ability to kind of zoom out a little bit more, both for yourself, but also for clients and sort of like you say, look at the bigger picture. But I'm interested how for those people who come into you and say, I want to train 5 days a week, and you know they've not done anything for the last like 10 years. How do you get them to buy into just doing 1 day or doing like that minimum amount?
It's a good question. I think
Hard
it depends.
sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard.
It is hard.
Like you can't. It's impossible to know how something's going to turn out, isn't it? Like no exaggeration. Like this, you get this. Like this happened. I'm thinking of like a client in particular came in, hadn't trained in like forever. Had issues with health and stuff, and was like, I tried this gym, I tried this gym, I tried this gym. He was like, I seen the Instagram, I seen your website, like just at the end of say like a little bit of a movement and a little bit of a chat. And he's like, this is it, like I'm bought in now. Like he's like, I'm just gonna be here forever. Like I don't see why I'd leave here. This is like on day one. So obviously I'm like, cool, this is great. Like and he was like, I'm going to train 5 days a week. And so you have to kind of like troubleshoot, I suppose, is probably the biggest thing. So it's like, what's the barriers to you training 5 days a week? And he didn't seem to think there was any. So at some stage, you kind of do have to funnel that motivation, I think, sometimes. So I was like, listen, if you don't see any barriers, you feel like you want to train 5 days a week, and you feel like that would like motivate you. It's like, we can train 5 days a week, but they're going to be 5 easy days. So I was just like, for the first 2, 3, even 4 weeks, I want you to come in and feel like when you leave, you're kind of like, oh, I've loads left in the tank. Like I probably feel better walking out than I walk in. And then we can kind of grow from there. Like, it just has to be easy first, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because like, if you start off too hard, like it's easy when you've been through it yourself, but like, if you start off too hard, you're gonna have to go backwards anyway. So it's like,
Yeah.
just start off easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that approach.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, I love that approach, that you've got to make it something that's accessible, as accessible as possible from the start, because then they stop seeing it as something that becomes a block in their week. Like you were saying, this guy wants to train 5 days a week, but as soon as you make it like, as soon as you give him that opportunity to say no, it breaks the whole cycle. So you've got to start it easy and have that gradual build up, and get them to understand, what is the most important aspect of this is that you're doing it. How often you're doing it doesn't really matter at the end of the day, because sometimes you're going to have a great week, sometimes you're going to have a bad week. But the most important thing is you continue to show up for it. And the easier the entry point to that is, and the easier it becomes, the less likely they're going to, when they're facing that situation where it's either that I don't train or I do train, they're going to, in all likelihood, lean towards training, because it's not this big endeavor, this mountain that's been, should be a molehill. They're not looking going, oh, that's so super overwhelming. There's something you mentioned earlier I just want to circle back to. You said you had your brain injury, and you said, and I quote, "Nah, I'm going to lift again." Where did that come from? Where did that exact sentence you said there? Because I'm sure you said this a couple of times. And was it out loud? Did you say it, "Nah, I'm going to do this again," or was it an internal, nearly every day? Where did that motivation come from? Because it breaks a lot of people. That an injury like that, again, I don't know the full details of it, but that sounds significant. So where did that come from? Where did that nah?
I think it's actually, it's interesting, because I kind of had this conversation with a client, but it wasn't in any way related to me recently. And it's sort of just this idea of, this is what I do, like I train.
Identity.
So like, I was in the hospital for a couple of days, and like I was in under like kind of I was calling it the vegetable ward at the time. It's probably not the most PC way of calling it, but it's like 24-hour watch, like that kind of thing. And it was like precautionary. Like, I wasn't like, there was risks and stuff, but like, I was pretty much out the other side. I was fine. I was really lucky. Like, there wasn't any, like, sometimes when I'm talking about it, I'm like, why haven't you been talking about it? It wasn't that big of a deal. Like, one of my arteries like caved in basically in my brain. So it could have been really bad. That's why I was kind of like in the watch stage and stuff.
No
but
big
like,
deal.
No big deal.
Yeah. It's amazing how we do that.
Yeah. But
no big deal.
I don't know. I think it was probably a combination of me being a bit younger as well. I was like 29 at the time. And so I'd only been in strength training like 4 or 5 years, and I was like really getting momentum. I was like starting to kind of figure things out. Not that you ever figured them out, but you know what I mean? I was like really feeling good with it. And then this happened. And I was obviously working in the industry as well. And then you're in the hospital. And even when I was in the hospital, I still didn't even see it as that big of a deal. Like, it happened when I was training. And I was doing Dan John's Mass Made Simple. I don't know if you've ever done it, but one of the days finishes off with like 2 by 25 on squats. And
it's a lot of squats.
So it was like the first day, it builds up to it, like it's not a very gradual build up, but it does it over the course of like a month. And I was on my last couple of reps of the second set, and it genuinely felt like someone just came up behind me and just smacked me on the back of the head. Like, just this kind of like firework, like bam, clap on the back of my head. So I like dropped the barbell, obviously, and kind of just like lay on the ground for a bit. I was in the gym on my own, and then didn't train for like a week. I had headaches and stuff, and then the next week I was obviously like, I'm grand. I'll just do 2x15 this week. And then I was doing it again, and like it was even worse the second time. I was like, fuck, okay. So yeah, long story short, ended up in hospital, and they was like in the bed. They were doing scans and stuff, and I just genuinely wasn't seeing it as a big deal. I was like, this is just like an injury, like, you know. And then 2 days later, 3 days later, whatever it was, I was like being discharged, and the consultant came down, and I was like, okay, look, she was kind of telling me the plan for the next like couple of weeks and stuff. She's like, here's medication, you need to come back in a month, and then come back in 2 months, and all this stuff. And I was like, okay, what's the kind of return to training look like? And she was like you're like, I don't recommend you go back training. And I was genuinely just dumb. I think I was just like, I was like, okay, yeah, but like, say like after like 3 months or so, like I was like, what's the return to training look like? And she was like, no, like you're not listening to me. Like I don't recommend you ever train again. Um,
Blows my mind.
yeah, like I was like nearly
Like,
crying. I was just like, that can't fly.
Yeah.
But then like she kind of sat me down. I was lying in bed, but like she sat down beside me, and she was like, you're very lucky you didn't have a stroke and die. Like, she was like, what's more important, like training or like staying alive? And I was like, oh, yeah, staying alive, obviously. But then like the further you get away from that, like in the moment, I'm like, yeah, okay, like there's more important things, like, but then the further you get away from that, and like as like your pain starts to go away slightly, you're kind of like, maybe there's a way back. I don't know. Just brute meatheadness is probably what I'd describe.
see, so the one thing that and the reason why I asked you that is because I'm always curious to know what it is that gets people to overcome something that, look, let's face it, if other people were in that situation, maybe they would have had a different outcome. Maybe their approach would have been different to yours. That's why I'm always curious to know what it was. But it comes down to what we say quite a lot on this podcast is that you're not really looking for a result. You're looking for a lifestyle. You're looking for things that you can hook into your identity. And again, a similar story to me in the sense that similar circumstances. And it came down to someone telling me, you can't do this. You probably shouldn't do this. I wouldn't advise it. I wouldn't advise you do it. But me just
Yeah.
knowing I don't know where I felt it, but there was something in me going like, you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm going to get back to this. I don't know how long it's going to take, what it's going to look like, whether I have to adapt things, but I will get back to this because I know what this whole lifestyle of just, lifting weights, the process of lifting weights and what it's done for me physically, but mentally is something I couldn't live without.
Yeah.
And again, fully willing to accept the fact that it may have to be a scaled down version. Fine. But there's no way I can live without all of these benefits. Is that something that, do you think in hindsight, that's maybe what it was of that? Like, because you said you've been training for 4 or 5 years at that point? You were getting into a
Yeah,
good swing of
I was
things.
doing like martial arts and stuff before that. It was very much just part of what I did.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely a stubbornness element to it. I think as well, like there wasn't much of a. I think it was because she was just like, I don't recommend you do this, and I was kind of like, okay, can you explain to me like what I'm trying to avoid in training? Like, what is the stimulus I'm trying to avoid? Because I can try work around that. And she was just like, no, I don't recommend you train. And then I was like, well, you're not giving me anything to believe you. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I think as you were talking there as well about being told you can't do something. So obviously I was in the hospital bed for a few days, and like naturally you start Googling like what's happened to you. And then I found like Facebook groups and stuff. And oh my God, like I joined a couple of Facebook groups. And granted, like this thing is a scale, like as in like there was a lot of people that this happened to, and they had a stroke, and like it was a lot worse and all that kind of stuff. But I just found the people in this Facebook group was just like a vicious cycle of like victimhood. Like not even, I'm not messing. There there was inputs into this Facebook group of people being like, I had an artery dissection 6 months ago, no stroke. When is it safe for me to have sex with my partner again? I was like, fuck this.
Oh, well. Yeah,
I'm
you
not.
take that away from me, you're
Wow.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
what?
but like, I think that was a big kind of lesson for me as well in coaching, because it was like how important your language is. Because like, as you said, like if that consultant says that to someone else, they're going to be like, okay. And like, they'll never pick up a kid again. They'll never
Yeah.
like do anything. So I think that was a big lesson in coaching. It was like your words matter. And then like, kind of like making sure you're being like, people are hearing what you're saying. Do you know what I mean? It's like, how are you perceiving what I'm saying?
Yep.
But as we get it
I
all the
mean,
time at the gym as well, like people coming in with injuries, and like it can take, sometimes we haven't cracked it with some people, but like trying to get people to kind of separate themselves from their injury is difficult, because they've been to a couple of, maybe not even physios, maybe they've been to like a massage therapist or an acupuncture person who told them something, and that's just stuck with them. And now we have to try to unravel all that. It's difficult.
So, yeah, I mean, I love the fact you mentioned that as well, because something, again, we've talked about in the past, that how you communicate. I fully believe that magic spells exist, and it's in our words that we use them, because how you say things and how you frame things and how you do, they can have a magical effect on people. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes bad magic and sometimes good magic, but the way you were saying there was like, how you speak to people, how you try and deconstruct what they maybe thought were a limitation, how you phrase it and how you frame it is such a huge element to coaching. Do you feel like you've gotten better throughout your years of doing that? And do you think that what you went through made you even better at communication, and then taking that experience from what that doctor said to you of like, that's surface level, almost out of a textbook, like you've had an error on an internet browser of just saying the same thing over and over again. You're like, maybe not the best. So do you think that your ability to communicate has improved? And is there any other situations that you can think of that like you were like, I really noticed the impact on my words? Is there like a client you can think of that has overcome something that again, we know that as coaches, we can't get someone up in the morning. We can't feed them. We can't make them make good decisions, but we can have a huge influence on those decisions from the outside. So is there any clients you can think of that with that communication that you were like, oh, I feel like I really did get through to that person? Is there anyone you can think of?
Yeah, there's definitely a handful. Definitely more so like in my one-to-one days. But I think a combination of kind of going through that, and like from my own experience of feeling like no one's listening to me here, kind of put the value of like, all I have to do is sit here and actually listen to them, and they're gonna be like, cool, someone listened to me. Like you probably know yourself, like people have often probably left consult me and been like, thanks for the therapy session, kind of jokingly, but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it almost is like,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, there's definitely a handful. I think it was a good timing. Not that, like, obviously I wish it didn't happen, but that experience, then I came out of that and I actually started doing Martin McDonald's course then shortly after that. Which is like, just, it's obviously a nutrition course, but there's brilliant like behavior change and like consulting and counseling like modules in that. So kind of having my own experience, then going through that and like expanding kind of my own kind of knowledge on that was definitely like the double whammy. I think I definitely, when I started out coaching, the gym I worked in originally, because I was from like an MMA background, which is like, and like back in the old school days of like 15 years ago, it was just shut the fuck up and train. Like there was no, there
Mm-hmm.
was no like, how you feeling today?
Yeah.
So I think when I started training like just day to day people, I was probably a little bit cold maybe, and like brought some of that in. And then one of the guys who owned the gym was like I was like, how can I improve as a coach? And he was like, you need to soften up your communication skills and stuff. So he kind of recommended a few books that definitely helped. And then my own kind of issues or stuff like that, and then macronutrition definitely was the icing on the cake. That was a brilliant thing. Does that? Yeah. So sorry to go back. I went off on a tangent there, right on tangent.
Nice.
Um, yeah, there's definitely a few clients that stick out. I remember one-to-one client who actually then came into the gym, stayed with us for ages, but she moved like way up the country, so she's not with us anymore. She was actually like an area manager type person in the commercial gym I was working in. I was PT in there, and she'd come in, you get talking to people and stuff. And she obviously used to be a PT, and then she progressed up, and now she's kind of like overseeing a few gyms and that. But you get talking, and she had like back surgery a couple of years ago, and then like stopped training. And every time we talk to her, talk about training, she's like, "Oh, I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to do this. And I wish I could do that." And she basically just wasn't training, at all. And I just kind of got a little bit, I don't know, cocky with it. I was like, "I can get you back training, like 100%." And she was like, "No, I've tried everything. I've tried everything." And I was like, "Just give me a month." I was like, "I'll train you for free for a month. Like, just come in." I was like, "We'll start training." And like she did, and then she became a client, and then we trained together for like 3 years. She still holds a couple of records on the board in the gym.
Sick.
Um, but that was all like mental, as in like it took her so long to get back squatting, like get back putting a barbell on her back. Um, but I don't think I would have been. I don't think I would have had the kind of understanding and empathy and patience to do that with someone else had I not like kind of went through it myself and felt the setbacks, like kind of really understand what it feels like.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely helped out a lot.
I think you definitely learn a lot yourself when you go through like an injury like that. And I just find it interesting, like it's the stories that people kind of tell themselves as to why they can't do it, like those limiting beliefs, and like say like your mindset when that consultant came to you and said like, no, you can't do this. There would be, Ben sort of said earlier, there'd be so many people that would just like accept that as like this is the hard truth, and
Yeah,
then like that's their like their kind of frame for living from that point on, rather than actually sort of asking questions around it, getting curious about it, and kind of testing that
Challenging.
hypothesis for themselves.
Yeah.
And obviously, like in your situation, like you were given a pretty a pretty serious ultimatum. Like, either like if you do this, you might die. But still, kind of like finding a way to kind of contextualize that for yourself, and slowly kind of build back up to where you have been.
yeah,
I think is amazing. And like say, just I think it really does give you that sort of empathy for like when you're working with clients and you kind of see those like limiting beliefs come in, and just kind of circle back to what you kind of Ben was saying earlier about like language being so important. It's like when you see people saying, "Oh, like don't do this because you'll get injured," or like that. That's a really obviously a really common one, sort of like in fitness and in coaches, like in coaching, just like, "Oh, don't round your back when you're doing a deadlift because you will get injured." It becomes like that sort of stuff is the stuff that becomes beliefs for people, and ends up being a massive hindrance and holding people back. So being very mindful around sort of communication is massive. Um, like on that kind of theme, like what's something everyone you think in the fitness space agrees on that you actually disagree on? Is there anything that kind of comes to mind that's like kind of common practice or common knowledge that you think is false?
um, geez, not top of mind. I'll have a little think now. I think we all have way more in common than we let on. Like, to be honest,
Yeah.
I think the fitness industry loves kind of like bashing and taking down other things, and I did it as well. Like, I think when I started in the industry, you kind of just take after who you're working alongside, you know. And like, I was around guys who would be like, "Oh, this is shit and that's shit," and I was like, "Yeah, that's shit." Um, but like, I like one of those things being CrossFit, and like CrossFit's deadly. Like, like
Yeah.
they've nailed it. Um,
It's
like,
it's funny. It's funny that you say that as well. There's this because I was away training with a friend he's a CrossFit guy through and through, and he's just like asking me what I thought of CrossFit, and I was like, I think it's fine. It's just not for everyone. But you can't. That's not a message you hear on social media or from coaches in general, because it's not polarizing. It's not like,
Yeah.
if I just made a start, I think CrossFit is absolutely fine. If you enjoy it, awesome. It's a great sense of community, but it's not for everyone. No one gives a shit. People want to hear me go, CrossFit is awful. You shouldn't do this. That's what people want to hear, because they like to have the people want black and white in a world that black and white rarely exists. And I think that's a really difficult thing. And that's something you notice as you get older, in your experience as a coach, is that you realize that, first of all, you cannot please everyone. Everyone's built differently. Everyone thinks differently. Everyone has different priorities in their life. So you just got to find what works for them. But yeah, you do find that a lot of people are like, this is bad for you. This is good for you. And you're just like, really?
Yeah, sure.
It's like that one, you've probably seen it. Like you need to do this exercise, or I did this insert exercise and suddenly my chest developed massively overnight. And you're just like, no, you've been training for 20 years, mate. And you've probably been doing all the basics, and you just found a different exercise and thought, oh, this is great. So yeah, it's difficult in the industry whenever, like, as you said earlier, you kind of tend to copy the people you're around until you get to your own style of things. And I think a lot of coaches never get to that point where they go, hey, I'm going to stop emulating these people, whilst you can respect them, and think well of them. It sounds like you went through this process as well, where you kind of find, like your friend was saying, like you maybe need to soften up how you speak to people. It sounds like you've found how you coach, where you can be like firm with people when you need to be, because you got that background, but you also have the empathy to understand when to use that. And I think it's great to hear that. So yeah, I kind of took the question of like anything you believe in that other people don't. Like, I just love that, because CrossFit is great.
What about you, Tom? I'll throw it back on you.
It's difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult.
It is difficult because you've lost it because you've probably just been like, it's not something.
I think it's actually there isn't anything specific that comes to mind in terms of like a specific thing. I think the thing that's my biggest gripe, and we kind of touched on it there, is like say it's the incentive for people when they're posting on social media isn't actually to like necessarily to help people, it's to get engagement. And I think that's obviously like that's a disconnect, as obviously to a certain extent, to like use social media as a big form of your marketing, you need your stuff to be seen. But it's when that goes too far and people are ending up doing stuff that is like either bashing a certain thing or just being very controversial for controversial sake, but like not really actually helping anyone. I think that's the biggest thing. So it just ends up making people more confused, and ends up creating more barriers to actually getting people to train. So that I think like just generally sort of, I guess, that kind of calling people out and that kind of negativity and that sort of thing. I think what there isn't enough of generally is actually sort of showcasing all the awesome things that training can do for people, and like not just in the gym in terms of like, I hit a PB here or like ran this 5K. It's like actually like look at all the cool stuff that like this person can now do because they train, and like how much that kind of has a positive impact on their life overall, not just in the gym. And I think personally, I think that's something that I would like to see more of. And I like how I try and frame stuff as much as possible when I'm kind of like I'm creating content, which isn't often as much as what I should. But
Preach.
Yeah. How about
we're
you?
This, though.
We are doing this. We do this fairly consistently, don't we?
You actually said exactly what I was thinking, which is this call-out culture within the industry, which is exactly that. It's just, how can I bring attention to myself to give, which again, you think about what they're trying to do in that situation. They're like, right, this gets a lot of clicks. That gets a lot of attention on me. But is that good attention? Because the attention I'm getting is that the reason I'm getting it is because I'm calling people out, which makes me feel like, oh, I'm superior to those people. I don't know. I mean, I am fairly confident you would agree with this, Ian, that we view ourselves as coaches. If you view yourself as above, coaching here, person you're working with here, you're already fucked.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be, look, I'm not any better than you because I lift weights, because my body fat is this, my muscle tissue is like this. A great quote I'm going to take from one of my clients is, having abs does not make me less frustrated at traffic lights. It doesn't really affect you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Realistically, it's never a case of we're up here talking down to people. It's just we're further along the path and we've been through more of the path than most people, have yet. And also we've encountered things like you encountered that makes you learn and go, okay, well, that's something you could maybe avoid because I went through that. I don't want you to have to go through that. So here are some little steps you can take to avoid this potential pain. So, these people who are going on social media and trying to get attention, you're like, what are you getting the attention for? Like, what if people are they going to look at you as like, oh, that's the guy who calls out everybody and thinks he's so right and, is in a position of like, up here? Well, I can't relate to that guy. So why would I work with him? So yes, you might be getting a lot of clicks and stuff like that, but I think generally speaking, yeah, what Tom was saying, like, we need to be showcasing all the benefits of this. I think going on just talking shit about people might get you some clicks, might get you some conversations, but are they the right people? I don't want to have a bunch of clients who are just all with me because I talked shit about this guy and made fun of this exercise. Or no, I have no interest in that. So that's what I think I would see that I don't like about the industry. That doesn't really answer the question, but just want to elaborate further on what Tom's saying. But
yeah,
Tom,
there's a couple of ways. Like even the some people like don't necessarily. Well, a lot of people obviously call people out and tell them they're wrong and stuff. But like another kind of common thing in a similar vein is, and it's a self-fulfilling thing, I suppose. Like, because they might put something out, they're putting out content all the time, and something gets a little bit of traction, like maybe just a point on something, and then over time they just go harder and harder and harder on that point.
Yep.
And it's just like, now you've become the person, like, who has, like, do you know what I mean? You've become the issue now. Even though your initial point might have been good, but now you've just like, this is the way, and it's like, all right, now you've lost it. Like you see it with like what seem to be good coaches. I don't think, like, it's hard to see the whole like judging other coaches or like judging a gym or judging a system and stuff. It's kind of pointless because, like, if you think about the fitness industry as a whole, like it's so vast, and like it's hard to even define really, because like there's like training like in the gym, but then like there's gymnastics, which is it's a sport, but it's kind of in the gym as well. And then like all these like adjacent but similar things, and there's bodybuilding, which is like obviously just aesthetics, and it's like a massive umbrella of all these different things. So you could have a conversation with like another coach, but like your understanding or your context is completely different. So
yeah,
a client that is like ideal for me and like we got on great and I get great results with them might be a brutal match for somebody else, and vice versa. Like there's just so many different variants in it.
You're not going to work with every person. Like every coach does not fit everybody. It's like you said at the start, like you've not got a specific, this is my elevator pitch. And I'm the same because I have such a broad diversity, and Tom, I'm sure the same. You couldn't distill all your clients into one general person because they're so different. They're so unique. Their preferences, their priorities, their goals are all so unique, but we just have to have this umbrella of fitness. And you're just like, that's huge. But again, humans just like to label things and put things in nice little boxes when those things don't necessarily fit into boxes. Now, Tom, you've had a would you rather that you've been excited to ask Ian, which I'm also very curious to hear. So, Tom, fire away.
Ian, being from Dublin and being quite partial to a pint of Guinness, would you rather drink Guinness exclusively out of a warm, plain glass, not a Guinness glass, or a can with a widget forever? The can be cold.
Oof. Is it a pint glass or is it like a little glass?
It's a pint glass, but it's not specifically a Guinness glass. Like, like a bog standard pint glass that you just see in a pub. But it's warm.
It's warm.
What's the widget on the other one? I'm curious about what idea have you got for the widget?
I don't know, but I'm pretty sure the widget won like best invention the same year the internet came out. So there you go. Potentially wrong, useless fact. Take that with a pinch of salt. I don't know. Good question. I think I'm going to go with the point glass. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so.
Ooh,
Yeah.
even if it's warm.
slightly warm
How
Guinness.
warm are you talking? Like, is you talking like it's being heated up?
I think
Just
if
like,
you picked it up,
imagine the glass has just come out of the dishwasher. It's like that. Is that hot? And then you can just pour
okay.
straight into that.
Okay, no, I'm gonna go with a cold can then. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
That is a hard one. Here's a hard question for you, right? I got this the other day. Who would win in a race? Who is the guy who just broke the marathon record? Yeah, what's his name? He'll do.
yeah, I don't want to get his name wrong.
It wasn't Kipchoge. I can't remember his name.
Okay, so take that guy. What's his name?
Kipchoge.
Yeah. So he would win in a race, right? That guy, can't pronounce his name.
Yeah.
Or Luke Littler, right? But Luke Littler has to run a marathon from start to finish. There's no stop. It's just start line, finish line, right? Kipchoge, or whatever his name is also running a marathon. But every kilometer, he's stopped by a dartboard and he has to get it down to 0 and finish on a double. Every single kilometer. And then he runs again, hits another dartboard, runs again. He was winning a marathon.
Oh, that's a good one.
I've just had to Google who Luke Littler was because I didn't know
the
that.
darts player.
For anyone that doesn't know, he's a 19-year-old English darts player.
Doesn't look like he runs marathons.
Specimen. For his specific job.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Kip. So I actually found out the name. It's Sebastian Shaw, is the new world record from Kenya.
Right.
So it is an easier name to say. Plus, let's give him his respect. So yeah, Sebastian Shaw.
So did you say every kilometer he has to do it?
Every kilometer, Shaw has to stop at a dartboard. What's the start off at again? 500, is it? No.
Yeah, I think so. And he has to get down to exactly 500.
Get it down to 0. And then he can go on again.
Has he
Has he played darts before?
Has he played?
Tomorrow it's happening.
Okay, so tomorrow it's happening. I was going to Google how much smart experience does Sebastian Shaw.
There's no money on this now. They just pick one.
Luke Littler marathon.
I'm going to say Luke Littler marathon.
Yeah.
It's
just plod along.
Just like he's got to do the darts every like 42 times.
Yeah.
That's
going to take time.
He's doing a marathon in what? Or sorry, a marathon. He's doing a kilometer in what? Like 3 minutes or something? 2.5 maybe.
Well, he ran the entire marathon in 1 hour 59 minutes and 30 seconds. So just under 2 hours, he ran the marathon. So you got to consider how quick he is to get to that dartboard. I would still go Luke Littler because he could just plod along, at whatever pace he wants. I think getting that 500 would be. I'm going to go with Luke Littler. I'm going to go with the absolute specimen.
Yeah.
That's a great question, though.
Yeah, that is a good question.
Marathon runner, because I'm thinking it's going to take Luke Littler like 7 hours or 7 hours, is it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how long would it take to finish a dartboard? Probably like 5 minutes. So that means he's doing every kilometer is taking the marathon runner about 7 minutes. Like it's a close one.
But then you've got to consider like does he get speed because of the continuous, or does he have to start?
It's basically like just sprinting over and over again. But then also like that composure to kind of catch your breath. Like obviously, like he'll catch his breath pretty quick, wouldn't he? But
would be quite good at
the composure to like start checking darts, and also like I think for me it'd just be like the frustration of like not getting it and then trying to like when you've got like 10 left and you keep missing sort of thing, like to get that exact one to finish, doing that 42 times over, I'd just give up.
The pressure of Luke Littler just going like, just walking past me like, good luck with the darts, bro.
At one point against his hand.
Love it. Love it.
One more training related question for you, Ian. What is exciting you about your training at the moment? Because just to give everyone a little bit of context, that like you've trained in lots of different modalities. Like you said, you sort of started off with sort of more martial arts. You've done like some more specific strength stuff. You've done some like hybrid stuff. You're like more recently you've been doing sort of a bit more like mobility and sort of athletic kind of training. Like what is the most exciting thing in your training at the moment, or what excites you the most about training at the moment?
Good question. It's a funny thing because I'm obviously running the gym and running the business, which is like the main priority. So there was definitely a good chunk of time where it was just like ticking the box. Like I wasn't even really thinking about training. It was just like I'm training with Lucas Hardy of Range of Strength now for the last kind of year or so. And like the benefit of that, like you guys know, is just like I just go out into the gym and it's like, right, this is what I'm doing today. With no real considerations. I was obviously like keeping an eye on my numbers in terms of like what I should be training at, but there was no like sort of what's the word? Like I wasn't pushing my ceiling kind of thing. I was like kind of pulling the floor for want of a better analogy.
Yeah,
And so I've been working on flexibility stuff, which is like front split, side split, and then just general strength stuff. Um, I think at the moment, I started running there last week. So I hadn't actually ran really. I was with Tom in 23 where we trained for like a triathlon event. And then in 24, the plan was to train for like another triathlon event and like continue strength training and stuff. And I just kept running into the same back injury when I was running, like literally couldn't run over like 500 meters. I'd be like aching. Um, so around that time we opened the gym and I just kind of packed it in. But it's really annoying when you can't do something. So I've kind of just it's been on the back burner. It's been like, oh, sure, I'm running the gym, like at least I'm training, but I wasn't doing any kind of cardio. Um, so I kind of wanted to like a lot of the stuff Tom talks about. Like Tom had a good influence on me in training and coaching. That idea of physical freedom, like movement options, physical literacy, like whatever way you want to call it. Um, the longer it went on that I wasn't running, I was like, I don't even know if I kind of can run anymore. like,
yeah,
and like almost the ego side of like being a coach is like plenty of our clients are like pretty fit and strong and like they're training in the gym and then they're doing marathons outside the gym and stuff. And I'm kind of like, shit, I don't even know if I could join them on a 5K. Um, so last week I just said again with the idea of just starting stupidly small. There's like a kilometer loop around the gym. So it's just like, right, every day for 30 days, I'm just going to do a kilometer. And so I'm like 5 days in now, feeling all right. So I'm excited to kind of see, like, I'm feeling like a little bit of a pinch where I was getting the pain in my pelvis, but like, it's not that bad. So I'm kind of excited to see how I'm only 5 days in, like what it'll feel like after 30 days. Um, and see kind of like where I'll progress it from there. Like, will I improve pace or will I improve distance? And just really kind of like not approaching it with any sort of goals. Just like I just want to run again. So it's like, right, I'm going to run. like,
yeah,
like just trying to push it out in terms of like, if I run every day for a while, I'm going to be a better runner, and that gives me more options. So,
yeah,
um, purely bottom up, like just yeah, I'm kind of excited because it's easy. And it's something I always say to clients, like when they're kind of coming back from an injury or whatever. It's like I want you to start so small that like you almost feel stupid doing it, like that small.
yeah,
And then when you've done that for a while and you're like, okay, this is getting ridiculous now, like increase it a little bit. And like
yeah,
how that compounds over time, I'm kind of excited to see with my own running because I've never done that. Whenever I ran, the only time I ran in any way controlled was like when Tom was writing my programs for me. Outside of that, I've always just like ran myself into the ground, literally.
yeah.
um, so I'm maturing with age and I'm approaching it in a better way. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
wicked. I think it's really nice, like, like obviously sometimes you need to have like, okay, this is building towards this, but like it's really nice to just kind of remove any pressure of like what the outcome might be. Just completely focus on the process. Do this easy thing that you can kind of consistently do, and then like say kind of reassess in a month's time. Like, where okay, this is where I'm at. I've quite enjoyed this. I want to do this now, and just kind of letting the process evolve as you go. I think is generally a really nice approach. I think it's something that a lot of people like could do with just like I think there's like an element of kind of curiosity there as well, isn't there? It's like let's just do this thing, see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also good to do, as you were saying there, Tom, that it's good to do, especially if you've got other fairly big priorities. Like you were saying, the gym is your main priority. Like you training doesn't keep the gym going.
Yeah.
You keeping the gym going keeps the gym going. So it's probably nice the fact that you don't have this like, okay, this is an expectation of this thing that I'm doing. As Tom said earlier, you're just letting the process take care of itself, which I think is great because you just start to get better without really having to put that much mental energy into it, because you've got your mental energy going to elsewhere. Very few people do that. They go into nearly everything that they're doing with the expectation of what am I going to get from this? What am I going to get from this? And they're constantly thinking that, and it puts a level of guilt that it doesn't need to be there. But if you don't do it that one day, you're like, oh, I'm not going to get this thing now. And you're like, well, okay, we'll just do it again tomorrow. I think that's very healthy, a very healthy approach. And yeah, I'm curious to see how well you do as well. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of running. Unless I'm running from someone, in which case that's fun. But yeah. And in certain circumstances, it can be terrifying. But most of the ones I've been in have been fun.
What about yourselves? What are you training towards? What's exciting for you?
So I've had this like adductor tendon issue for a little while, which has taken ages to get over, and like I'm in a good place with it at the moment, in that it's like it's progressing week to week. It's still there, but like, you know, sometimes when you've got an issue like that that's just kind of there and present in the background, it always kind of hampers what you're doing. It's always just niggly and annoying, and it like over time it does like start to get worse and worse. I'm like coming out of that, and like week to week it's getting stronger. I've got like some objective kind of measures of progress with that, which I think is quite important, because like sometimes like you're doing sort of rehab based stuff, but it's like you go and do the same thing and you're like, is this getting better? Is it not? But I've got like some objective, like using the adductor machine in the gym, for example. I know what reps I'm doing, I know what weight I'm doing, and I can see the progression week to week on that, and also how that's carrying over to everything else. So that's been kind of like the main focus for me really at the moment. And then like with the goal of getting back to BJJ, which is what caused it initially. Just because I'm finding that quite fun, and then also I've been in like really enjoying like running and cycling more as the weather gets kind of nicer. So yeah, like I in terms of kind of my training, really it's like I almost have like a seasonal kind of periodization, which I hadn't realized that I kind of did, but naturally did. Like in the summer, I want to be outside. I want to be doing more aerobic stuff. It feel like obviously like it feels good being like feeling really fit. And then like when winter comes around, it's like, okay, cool, let's go like lift some heavier weights. Let's kind of push the strength side of things a little bit more. So yeah, like kind of like nothing really sort of super defined within that, but just enjoying the aerobic side of stuff and getting back from this kind of tendon issue.
Yeah, that's actually like, I think I keep saying it, but like when I was training with you in 22, 23, like that was one of the best, if not the best periods of my own training. And I think it was purely like, obviously the training was great, and like I had a lot more free time, and like I was feeling good, and we were training towards something. I was like getting into swimming and all this stuff, and it was great. But I think it was a combination of coming out of the backside of like the injury and kind of getting back into training, that like I had zero expectations. It was just like, I'm just fucking happy to be back training again. And it was like varied enough that it was interesting, and I was outside and I was inside, and it was just this like no expectations. Like, I'm just happy to be here. But then, ironically enough, like that just equals more gains. It's like,
yeah,
it's like
when you're having fun,
let it happen.
Yeah, as I mean, as we've said multiple times, is if you're having fun, you're probably going to get pretty decent results because you want to show up and you actually want to be there. That's pretty much my goal at the moment. Just get back to training. I've had a golfer's elbow issue with this side. So I've just been training the single side at the moment, which has actually been fun because instead of going, oh, well, look, I can't do that, can't do that, can't do that, I'm now looking at things going, well, I could do this and I could do this and I could do this. And it's going to feel weird. Just training one side is very weird. Like I was away, said there in Portugal, and my friend I was training with, I just had to do everything single sided. I was just like, better than nothing. So I'm looking forward to being able to continue that simply because, again, I'm enjoying that process of there being a slight challenge. Yes, would I love it for this to disappear? Obviously, but I'm now going, oh, okay, well, despite that injury, I'm still able to train. So I'm enjoying that process. But yeah, if this would go away soon, that'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd be happy.
Go into some like Sandow stuff, like some single arm bent presses and stuff. That'd be good.
That'd be fun. Yeah. Anything I could just do to have fun with my training. That's my main priority. It's like number one block. Is this fun?
Yeah.
Cool. Everything else after that.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad to hear you're on the same page with.
Yeah.
Just one last question to finish this conversation, Ian, which we ask to all our guests. If let's assume that life is a computer game, and you're on a computer game, you've got like the loading screen, and there's like sometimes like some text or some advice or something like that, kind of like going across the screen as the game's loading. What would your one piece of advice be that you would give to yourself or to other people playing the game?
Jeez.
It can be silly. It could be silly, by the way. It doesn't need to be. Don't worry, you can come back and say, actually, it's this.
Yeah.
Like this is by probably virtue of like it came to mind quickest. But I don't know if you follow him. There's a guy on Instagram. He's a long distance runner. Like I think his name is like AM Glaze or something is his thing. But he does ridiculous mileage. I think he's a firefighter or something. But his kind of tagline is "Smile or you're doing it wrong." I really like that.
Nice.
Kind of have to remind ourselves because, like, listen, like running a business is hard. Like it's long days and stress and all that stuff. And sometimes you have to just be like, listen, I'm doing this because I want to do it, and you just have to sit back and smile sometimes. So I think that's good.
That's wicked.
I like that one. I like that one.
Thank you so much for coming on. Like it's been wicked chatting to you. Where can people find out more about you? Like obviously we'll add links. We'll add links to the post when this goes out. But yeah, where can people find you?
Mostly Instagram. So Ian Molphy is my name, IANMOLPHY, and then the gym is KHP Gym on Instagram. And then, like, if anyone's in Dublin, there's a website as well, khpgym.ie. That's it. That's me.
Highly advised the gym, by the way. I went down for a workshop of yours truly, Tom, over there, and the place was great. The atmosphere was incredible. The community you got, which I would love to have talked a little bit more about, but I just want to say the community you have down there is incredible and something that if you are in that area, do yourself a favor and go check it out. So I couldn't recommend it enough.
Thanks, Ben.
Definitely.
Very welcome.
Wicked.
Plus your old school bodybuilding books were sick. Your granddad's. They're probably around that desk, are they?
Yeah, it's over on the left hand side here. The granddad's.
They were so cool. They were so cool. Yeah.
Awesome. I actually started doing one of those days there a while ago. It was like actually took it open and was doing like the donkey calf raises and all that old school stuff.
Nice.
Sick. That's so cool.
Awesome. We had Lucas Hardy over then in April, and he's obviously into all that stuff as well. And like brought him into the gym, like first time meeting him and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is the gym. We sat down, had a coffee, and like showed him that book. And then like I just lost him for like an hour. I was like,
doesn't surprise me.
He's just like in the book. I was like, oh, I'm gonna go out to the gym now.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
Book, yeah.
Awesome. We appreciate your time, Ian. Massive thank you for taking this time.
All right.
And hope you have a great day, man.
Thanks
very much.
You guys can talk about me now.
Cheers.
See you later.
Bye.
Awesome. Thank you.